Warning, this review contains spoilers. Now then, hello everybody, there's Iris Prime here, and I've watched Age of Extinction. I have seen Age of Extinction reviews, I've seen the Raging Nation review, I have watched Dave Ment's SMS number 1's review, I saw Paul Wardman, Destruction of Snake Pits review. They're the only ones I've really watched. I mean, I know there are other people within the YouTube community that have done their own reviews, Metal Doxy, and there are others, and I'm sorry I can't remember all your names. But some of those reviews were like 45 minutes to an hour long, and I'm busy with work, and it's quite strange in a sense, it's contradictory because my reviews tend to be longer than usual. I saw Fuse review, but yeah, mine are longer. But the thing is, I get 16 gigabytes of internet a month on my price plan, and it used to be okay. I've struggled in recent months because I have a PC now and it's more compatible for gaming. It works better for games. I think it is a gaming PC, but that's neither confirmed nor denied. So I play a lot more DC Universe online, I play Champions online. I'm gonna get round to Star Trek soon, don't worry, I'll be back on that. It eats up more of my internet, basically. It's me having my own Wi-Fi in my house, in my place, my room, whereas I didn't before. So, it means I can play Xbox Live and stuff like that. So I tend to stay away from the stuff that's overly long, because I'm trying to save my data. I've got another Wi-Fi hub that's like giving me another 5 gig a month. So yeah, I get about 21 gig a month, which most of the time is enough. It's just recently I've found myself hitting that limit, and so I try and stay away from the really long ones unless I'm at Bradley's and I can siphon his mum's internet. She doesn't mind, honestly. So yeah, I've only watched the shorter reviews. Sami Sadek, Skullgreen 140, I haven't watched yours either. I will at some point. I will get around to watching everyone else's review. Just not yet. But I'm here to chip home with my thoughts on the film. What I say about long reviews, I've just spent 3 minutes explaining why I haven't watched everyone. I enjoyed Age of Extinction. I did. Because, sorry, it's really fucking hot in here. I mean, I would take my top off, but nah. I enjoyed it. It's not a cinematic masterpiece. It has its flaws, a few of them. Upon reflection and, watching other people's reviews and reading reviews, those sort of things tend to come to light a bit more, and I notice them more, once the adrenaline's worn off and I've just come out of the cinema like, you get time to think then. And there was a discussion after. I went with Mike, Megabyte Unleashed, Alexander, and a couple of others. Can't remember the names because I've only seen them once, so don't hate. And we sat around discussing it, what was good, what was bad, what we liked, what we didn't like. And then I watched some other reviews and, other stuff came to light, and sorry. But I still enjoyed the film, and I'm still going next Monday, and I'm going to watch it with Steve. It's funny how I go and watch these things with my doctors. They're not actually my doctors, but they're the guys that voice some of the doctors in my videos. So we'll be going to watch it. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I actually had no problem with the running time. I struggled with Dark of the Moon because before even I got killed, I realised I drunk too much fluid and needed a piss, and there was no interval. There was no interval in this. I paced my drinking, not alcohol, just normal standard cherry coke. I paced that and I didn't need a bathroom break. There was stuff that it's like wind in the air. It's like a seashell. There was stuff that was stupid. This will probably be a bit disjointed, like some of the other ones, but it's hard to keep tabs and keep everything in a chronological order. I like the opening when the dinosaurs were cyberformed and metallicized and all that shit with the ships over Earth and that. According to TF Wiki, the dinosaur that were fighting over the fish are herbivores. So as TF Wiki said, paleontology weeps. That aside, it was a good scene, and it looked good. And my initial reaction was that's where the Dinobots came from, except they're dead. All the other dinosaurs died, and I think it's then that we cut to the Arctic place or wherever it was, and they had the fucking cyberformed Spinosaurus and the T-Rex. Visually, it is very good, as is the case with these Transformers films. The special effects are top notch. I mean, there were some issues with Revenge of the Fallen, but effects-wise and visually, it was still a good film. It just wasn't as polished, but that was because of the writer's strike. They were rushing to get it out. I said this with Gerard Wolfgang. One, I agree with him that they should have postponed release and fucking polished it properly. I don't know if that would have helped, because Revenge of the Fallen gets a bad rap. I mean, I personally don't mind it, but I'm not here to talk about Revenge of the Fallen. I might review the other trilogy at some point, the first trilogy. One of the things that really pissed me off was apparently a Michael Bay comment, where he said he doesn't care if it's a good or a bad film, people will see it. Which, unfortunately, was true. He was right. But it was typical Michael Bay arrogance that I can't stand. I hate that kind of attitude that he has towards it. It suggests to me that he doesn't give a fuck about the film or whether it's good. Apparently the reception for Revenge of the Fallen hurt him. Not personally. And that was why he wrote Sam. That's why Sam was wrote that way in Dark of the Moon. As if to say he was underappreciated. Is there any fucking surprise when you come out with shit like that? I mean, you can't even advertise a fucking telly. I'm not getting into that. I don't hate Michael Bay. I dislike him. I'm not a fan of him. But he has his qualities. I can respect some of the things he does. I can also not appreciate some of the other shit he does. Okay, I'll get into what I like about the film. I'll break this up into likes and dislikes. One thing I liked, probably the best thing I liked, was what people call Murder Prime. Optimus Prime's my favourite, you all know that. And in this film, he was just full of rage. It was like fucking Red Lantern Prime. I don't agree with the Murder Prime nickname. I'm not saying it's a bad name, but to me, I'm not clear on the specifics and the legal technicalities and shit. But to me, murder is, unprovoked killing. And, like I said, I'm not clear on the specifics. But to me, I would, at the very worst, call him Manslaughter Prime. Or Self-Defense Prime. Or I did it for the Rock Prime. Or something like that. But I digress. Murder Prime's a good name. It's kind of fitting, but it isn't right, I don't think, because he doesn't go out outright murdering people. Yes, he kills people, but he has a reason for it. He's trying to save others, including his own. I love that he's pissed at the fact that the very people he was trying to protect, he spent 3 movies trying to protect, and along the way he lost Jazz, and he lost the RC, then he lost Ironhide, and Sentinel betrayed him, and he had to kill Sentinel, and he lost all those soldiers and all those friends, and then in this he lost Ratchet and Leadfoot. And for what? To protect these people that are only going to hunt him, that show no remorse or no gratitude whatsoever now. They are hunting him, and they are hunting the Autobots, the people who risk their lives to help us. I don't blame him for being pissed. And it was just, some of his rage was justified. To anyone that says, oh, well, it isn't the Optimus Prime I grew up with, his rage is justified. That's all I can say. I'm not going to get into a big debate over that. I've said my piece. I've done my own Evolution of Optimus Prime video back when I had long hair. It's a bit old. But he wasn't in the wrong for wanting to kill people. I like that he killed Kelsey Grammer. That was a shock to me. I thought Cade would kill him. I didn't expect Optimus to kill the human, but he did. And the way he reacted to Ratchet's death and Leadfoot's death, and he was pissed. And there was like we will kill them all. I don't usually kill, but I will kill whoever did this. And fucking the way he stormed into the building, KSI is it? KWS, please don't go. I don't know. But it was, and just the way Stanley Tucci was saying, we don't need you anymore. And it's just like, Autobots, we're done. I just loved the delivery of that line. He didn't kill Stanley Tucci, but he was just so angry and so embittered. And it was just awesome. I just loved his attitude in that, and I was just like sat there going, oh yeah, shit going down. This is gonna happen. He's pissed. And I loved it. I do, and I find it easily justifiable, the way his attitude was. I know Paul, Destruction Snake Pit, didn't like the bit where he's talking with Cade about, Tessa, and they're like, yup, I had the same thing with Bumblebee. I know he didn't like that. I did. I mean, take out the whole fucking, Autobots not teenagers thing. But it showed that little, he was a bit more laid back, a bit more casual for once. For like the one time in the movie. And it was like he'd just, for a brief split second gone back to the old Optimus Prime or something like that. And it kind of broke it up a bit. Instead of it being like, Kay was like, oh yeah, kids and that, and, you'd have expected Prime to say, fuck off. But he didn't. He was fine with it. He was, it was a civil moment from Prime, in amongst all that fucking rage and fucking plasma retching and all that shit. And it's just some of his manner, the way he reacted and the way he bollocked the humans because they've been fucking around with the Transformium. It's one of the things I don't like. And and the way he's like, we'll get the seed, then we're done. And they're like trying to convince him, and he's like, after everything we've sacrificed, how many more of my men must be lost and shit. It was, I think Raging Ronin put it the best in his Raging Nation video. It gave Peter Cullen a chance to stretch his acting job, and he did a good job. You could really believe in Prime's rage in that, and the way he was pissed. And it wasn't even a case of, at the end of the film, he's like, oh, I like humans again. He fucked off. In that fucking Superman-esque manner, he just left the other ones to protect Earth. I know people are on about how, Bumblebee reacting. I'm not a big Bumblebee fan. I think he's run his course. I did, however, enjoy the little hissy-fitty through over Stinger and the advertising for Stinger it's based on Bumblebee, but it's better. And I did kind of enjoy that because of the bit where he put in his own censored swear word. That kind of made me laugh because he censored himself, which was, even funnier when Stanley Tucci said, "What's the Chinese for? Get the fuck out of the way." That was a surprise because, the F-bomb has been dropped. If you watch Revenge of the Fallen with the subtitles on, when Sam's dead, Megan Fox, Michaela, she's like, "Fucking do something." It's not the first time the F-bomb's been dropped, and, but it was just the first time I heard it so blatant, so in your face. But yeah, I like Prime. I like that bit with Bumblebee. Lockdown, I enjoyed. I thought he was a really good villain. Working in league with the humans, he was just really well done. He looked good for the most part. He was merciless. He was fleshed out. He was developed. Mark Ryan voicing him, did come across as jet fiery in some places. I like Lockdown at first because of Lance Henriksen. If Lance had have direct voiced Lockdown in this, it would have made it so much better, but I still enjoyed Lockdown. He was just badass, and, it worked. Ratchet's death, I thought was very well done. Because it was emotional. It was brutal. It was fucking... Yes, he hadn't done a lot in the films previously, but he was the medic. He was the one that healed people, and he got just destroyed. It was fucking evil, man. What happened to Ratchet? Losing his leg and fucking Lockdown stealing his spark, and it was really well done. And especially Prime's reaction later, because we never really saw how he reacted to Ironhide dying in Dark of the Moon. When Jazz died in the first film, it was just like, oh, Jazz. As if he'd got bad grades in school, or as if he'd fucking stubbed his toe, or scored an own goal in a football match or something. It was like, oh, Jazz. That wasn't emotional. That was... I don't know what it was, but it wasn't emotional. It sounded like disapproval. And, I had 1,000 things going through my head. How Prime could respond to that with Jazz. If, Jazz got a girl pregnant. Oh, Jazz. And shit like that. I'm going to stop doing that. But, that was the way it came across. But he did react to Leadfoot dying and Ratchet dying. Considering Ratchet was a mainstay of the films, whether he did a lot or not, he was in all 3 films. So it was a significant. It was one of the original characters. I mean, who do we have from the original bunch now? Bumblebee and Prime. Ratchet's gone. Ironhide's gone. Jazz is gone. And all those that followed in Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon. We haven't seen Dino. We haven't seen Sideswipe or the other records. We can only assume they're dead as well. But yeah, Ratchet's death was well done, and the reaction to it as well, how Prime actually gave a fuck in this. Which was, it was a nice little change. What else did I like? I like Hound. The one-liners he came out with, like a ballerina that cuts throats, and he used the bitch, called more people bitches than Jazz. I think Jazz only did it once, actually, but I overplayed that. But yeah. I like Hound. He was funny, he was tough. And I know people say, oh, well, it's basically Bulkhead, and yeah, you got a point there. But, because, Hound was like, I love the Earth back in G1. I'm going to fuck Spike up the ass back in G1. And stuff, Hound Harris. No. But yeah, so it did come across as more of Bulkhead, but, either way you look at it, it was a good character. I even like Crosshairs, because he wasn't blindly following Prime. He was just, No, guess we've got to. Right, we got this. Let's go. Um, in the Decepticons, you've got like Starscream in G1 was always trying to betray Megatron, and all that, and Zarek in Headmasters was always trying to betray Galvatron, and it worked in the end. But you very rarely saw it with the Autobots. The only ones that really stood against Prime were the Dinobots. And it was interesting to see another Autobot not fully agree with Prime. I mean, I am surprised Prime didn't take his fucking face for that, given the way he was in this movie. But Brain survived as well. Actually, didn't mind Brain. It was like, yeah, he didn't die. Really did that. It looks like. But yeah, I like Crosshair's attitude. And how he came around to it at the end, and he's got to be brainwashing people or something, and just like, no, he's just Optimus Prime. But yeah, he kind of fucked off, didn't he? He rode in on, was it Scorn? Leapt on a building, and then that's it till the end. He didn't see what he did. But I enjoyed Crosshair's portrayal, the way he was portrayed in that. I do like where it's going. That also ties into what I don't like about this film, because I like where it's going with, they hinted at the Quintessons, and, Prime's fucked off into space. Me and Mike had a good chat about how, the Quintessons could now Prime's left. I'll just say one thing before I go into this, because this is just me giving ideas, and me and Mike giving ideas. I like the Nemesis Prime reference. To me, it was a Nemesis Prime reference. I don't know if everybody saw it that way. But when they're building Galvatron, and he keeps resembling Megatron, and he's like, why does he keep resembling Megatron? I want him to resemble Galvatron. Paul said that they might as well have made Nemesis Prime. That was my Nemesis Prime reference. That, to me, was like they were trying to create a Nemesis Prime. And I fear that might be the closest we'll get to a movie Nemesis Prime. Unless, this is purely theoretical, and just what me and Mike were talking about, Prime's fucked off, gone to meet his creators, he gets captured, Quintessons send a Nemesis Prime down to try and capture the rest of the Autobots. They escape the Nemesis Prime, they go and rescue Optimus Prime, and the film has a big fuck-up Prime battle at the end. That would be my Transformers 5. I would love that. But I doubt we'll get that. Because it's something we want. Well, something I want anyway. It would kick ass though, just Prime versus Prime. I mean, where was Galvatron fit into all that? I liked Stanley Tucci. Because the other characters, like, the Stone Cold Killer guy that looked a bit like James Nesbitt, or the guy from the Pet Shop Boys, he was always a dick. Harold Attinger, Kelsey Grammer's character, was always a dick. Stanley Tucci kind of switched over. You saw him and he was panicking, he realised he was way over his head, and he wanted to just get out of there and shit, but he didn't, and he persevered, he carried on. And he carried on delivering the seed and did his shit, and he even agreed to, he even offered to help Cade and his family at the end of the film. And, character turnaround. He realised he'd fucked up, and he was still, in places he was loud and obnoxious and a bit irritating, but he did do a 180. He started out as like, it's what they're made of, and then he was helping them at the end. But still being a dickhead. Yeah, hide me in a glass house where no one will find me. I did appreciate him. Sophia Miles as what's her face. I think Paul referred to her as that bitch. I'll just refer to her as Madame Pompadour. Didn't really contribute that much, but then again, it's not as if she was all over the film. Lee Bingbing, or Bing Bing Lee, whichever way they go with it. Didn't so much mind that either. And the way Tucci was like, trying to hit on her at the worst times. And it was better than Leo, and it was better than, I don't know, I feel it was better than Simmons, because Simmons had run his course by Dark of the Moon. And I didn't mind it at all, really, to be honest, because I've got a warped sense of humour. So other people, they'll enjoy the Transformer stuff, but they'll have a different sense of humour and a different mentality to what I have. But this is something that I enjoyed because it's the sort of humour that I appreciate, and it's the sort of humour that I write sometimes as well. And don't get me wrong, that was one of my main problems with Revenge of the Fallen, was because it was too close to my kind of humour. It was, the whole Devastator having bollocks thing, and that, and some of the jokes in that were just 18 inches of meat and the pizza and shit. That's the sort of stuff I would write, but I'm not being paid millions of dollars to write a Hollywood blockbuster. That was the main exception, with that I do videos for free, and I do sick humour in my videos for free. I don't get paid for it. And millions of people aren't watching it expecting a good fucking solid thing. Millions of people aren't watching it. Anyway, but in this case, I was fine with it, because it kind of the film was long, and I didn't, like I said, it didn't drag to me, but because I had things that I could appreciate, like Stanley Tucci humour, and Murder Prime, and Cade. I even enjoyed Cade and his story. I mean, I'm a parent myself, so I approve of that whole thing, wrapping your kid in cotton wool and all that shit. Because sometimes my son jumps around like a crazy bitch, and he does shit, and I'm like, dude, be careful, Bradley, stop doing that, you'll hurt yourself. And there'll be the time when he'll just take a step, and I'll be the same, because it's a parent's love for their child, and sometimes we can be overprotective, and so I can relate to that. I do think Mark Wahlberg did his role well. I know Paul wanted something, at least one line about what happened to the Wit kids. I did not give a fuck. I was glad they were gone. Sam and his mum and dad, and bye, see you, don't care. I would have liked to have heard something about Lennox and Epps though, because I liked Lennox and Epps. They were the humans I cared most about in the movies. So, in the first trilogy, that would have been nice. Just to, Lennox and Epps are fine, or something about Lennox and Epps. That would have been good. I think, I like where this is going. It kind of plays to a sequel more than the original trilogy movies did. Because they were all pretty much self-contained within themselves. I mean, yes, they had elements like, first one was about the Allspark, the second one was about the Matrix of Leadership and the Solar Harvester, and the third one was about the bringing Cybertron in to Earth's orbit and shit, and the pillars. But they all contained elements from the previous films, like Dark of the Moon used the Matrix, Revenge of the Fallen used the Allspark shard. But in terms of going forward, each film seemed to progress, like the Autobots defeat the Decepticons, Autobots defeat Decepticons, Autobots defeat Decepticons. You could have done more films, and they did, but they didn't. It wouldn't have mattered if they didn't, because the story was wrapped. With this, there's a lot more questions. It's more open-ended than the previous trilogy films. And I do hope to see a Transformers fight. I'm going to get into bits what I don't like now. I'll start with the Romeo and Juliet lore. I haven't even looked this up. But there's no need for that. There is no fucking need for that. Tessa's 17. He's 20. They didn't even have to mention ages. It could have just been, I mean, I don't have a daughter, but if I had an 18-year-old daughter and she was banging a race car driver and I was a widow and she was all I had, I'd be a little apprehensive. She didn't need to be fucking 17. And yes, as Paul said in England, she's legal. But it was, 17, and the gratuitous shots as well of like in a little shorts with her legs shining in the sun and all that shit. I mean, if the actress wasn't legal, at least in the States, I would have found that more uncomfortable. But just the whole fucking Romeo and Juliet law. Why? Why not just make her 18 and still have him being overprotective? It would have still done the same job. Second thing I didn't like, Tessa. I really didn't think I wouldn't like her. But, some of the acting was, a bit dodgy. She shouted dad a lot, but, The thing that really got me was when they're on lockdown ship, and they finally rescue her, and she jumps straight into Shane's arms. Just completely overlooks Cade, and she's straight into his arms, thank you for saving me, when Shane was being a fucking pussy about it. Oh, I don't want to touch that. Come on, what does he do? And he gets the credit. I mean, yes, she went back for him at the end. Yes, she helped rescue Optimus Prime by pulling the sword out. But she just came across as an ingrate, childish, fucking petulant bitch at first. I still haven't warmed to her. I can at least acknowledge that she did the right thing in the end. I'm not leaving my dad. Doesn't write what happened on the fucking lockdown ship when she ran into his arms instead. Another thing I didn't like, I don't like how Galvatron was underused. What little we saw of him was good, and yeah, it was a good fanboy moment to hear him voiced by Frank Welker. But he wasn't in the final fight, he just sent his Decepticons out as cannon fodder, and it didn't work. I mean, you could argue that it was smart of him to stay out of the way, and then maybe strike at the last minute, but he was underused. I'm hoping in Transformers 5, if they do it, that he will get more development. Although if they do go the Nemesis Prime route, which I doubt they will, it would kind of take a back step again. They should have just, like Paul said, they should have just gone with Nemesis Prime. Not have the whole Megatron possessing the body through brains. I mean, it's a neat concept of Transformers possession, but, he was dead. Like, well fucking dead. I mean, what did they do? Just bring him online just long enough to fucking go through it and possess him? I don't know. It really wasn't that well explained. But I'd have stuck with Nemesis Prime. But then again, who wouldn't like to see Prime versus Prime? Murder Prime versus an actual Murder Prime. That would have been a good visual. I didn't like the way the new Decepticons transformed. The whole fucking disintegrating and then reintegrating. You know what it reminds me of? Creo. I waited for an answer then. I don't know why. It reminds me of Creo. It's like Hasbro said, yeah, we're trying to push the Creo line a bit more. Let's make them disassemble like fucking Lego, fly through the air, and then reassemble like fucking Lego in a different mode. It was stupid. It was completely fucking unnecessary. And I won't be surprised if it was Hasbro trying to push the fucking Creo line. Because that's what it came across as. Fucking Creo, vehicle, disassemble, reassemble robot. Isn't that what Creo is? I don't collect the Creo because I disagree with the concept of having a transformer that you have to build, take apart, and build in a different way. That is not a transformer, that is an assemble-disassemble former. It's fucking dumb. And they did that in this film. And I didn't like it. At all. I wasn't a big fan of Drift. I had problems with Drift before I saw the movie because I didn't like the way he looked. A, he's a samurai that transformed into an Italian car. B, he's blue, which I don't mind, with a gold fucking head. They might as well have given him a flesh-coloured car and a purple head. The head design wasn't bad. He did look like a samurai. He didn't look like a transformer. The head design was okay in of what the rest of it looked like. It matched. It just shouldn't have been gold. Maybe a gold helmet with at least a fucking blue face. Or the other way around. Or something just to break up that fucking gold. But the rest of him didn't. It looked more like a samurai. It didn't look like a transforming robot. And I don't know if it's me, because I'm not a big car guy. The Bugatti across his tits. Is that too big a lettering, or is it actually that big on the car? Because he had fucking Bugatti boobies. And was that too big, or is it like that on the car? Just someone tell me, because that seemed a bit too big. Another thing I didn't like was all the product placement. Although I didn't notice that much, but there was obvious ones, and I've heard of a lot worse than I noticed myself. Back to Drift. 3 modes. He was a triple changer. He had a helicopter mode that all he used was to lift Bumblebee up. Why? And it's not just that. There isn't even a triple changer Drift toy, for fuck's sake. It is the car version, and then they've retooled the Skyhammer mould from Dark of the Moon. Now don't get me wrong, Skyhammer is a very good toy. I had the Skyhammer toy. It was a non-movie character that wasn't a repaint, it was an original mould, and I give Hasbro props for that. Now they're using it for Drift. And they're using the Veyron for his other mode. And did you notice in the film how he's driving along, and the Autobots reuniting scene, he's driving along on the road in his car mode, and all of a sudden he's on the fucking mountains changing to helicopter. Make up your fucking mind. But, the fact that it's 2 toys, it's not a triple changing toy. They didn't even explain, he didn't even fucking start off as a car and then scan a helicopter, then scan the car again. It's like, I don't know. They could have used Springer. The new generation Springer, just, smoothed out the car mode a bit, changed the paneling and that. They could have retooled Springer. Then you've got both. Because the generation Springer is a good toy, and it works. It's one of the best triple changers. And they could have just done that, but they didn't. They just fucking released 2 toys of it, which we haven't even seen either of yet in, the UK. Calling Optimus Prime Sensei and all that. I mean, it's Japanese and... Yeah. There is one thing that I will defend about Drift, and this is what my friend Randy Dixon didn't like about it, was when he was on the ship and he got attacked by the tentacles. That is blatantly a Japanime thing. Japanese samurai being attacked by tentacles, it's like something out of a hentai. I avoid that kind of hentai. Yeah, I don't avoid the others. But anyway, it's it was a blatant fucking Japanime thing, and but I will say this about it. The way he was like, oh, well, I'm ready for anything and that, and then he gets attacked by the tentacles and he comedically fights them off. But he was ready. Credit to him, he was alert and he knew they were there and he dealt with it swiftly. That's all I'll say about that. Yeah, it was a comedy moment, no doubt, and a fucking nod to Japanese anime and stuff like that, but he dealt with it swiftly, and it was fine. I also like the bit where he had his blade at Bumblebee's throat, but that's just because it's Bumblebee. But yeah, Drift was, had his good moments, but it was like not as many as bad. Where are we up to? Misuse of Galvatron, Drift. Yeah, the product placement I mentioned. Dinobots. They looked awesome, but I do think Prime tamed Grimlock a bit too quickly. And I think they'll be used more in the next film if they go with this whole creative thing. I've got a feeling the Earth team will have to track down the Dinobot to find out what's going on, seeing as they're only the witness. Lockdown, they're dead. I feel the Dinobots will be used more as exposition. They'll be the exposition for the next film. Like Brains was in this explaining it all. I can see it being like Grimlock has to explain it. Personally, I'd get Strafe. Give him that higher Dinobot intelligence that Swoop had and have him explain it. But we don't even know whether they're thick in these films or not. But I do think the Dinobots could be used better in the second film. But it was like they were marketed. The film was marketed around these Dinobots, and they showed up for about 5 or 6 minutes. And to me, that's underused. The scenes they did have, badass, awesome. But I wanted more. Before I saw those scenes, I wanted more based on the marketing. And it's like the fucking Dark of the Moon when Shockwave was touted as the main villain, but he was rarely in it. The only difference between this and Shockwave in Dark of the Moon was that the Dinobots still live. They're still alive, they can be featured more in the next one. But that's like how Prime released them and they just fucked off. It's like, I can't remember who said it, but someone said that, a lot of cars will get damaged or something like that. Unless, they're nice. They would probably, guard the fucking park or something like that. We don't know. That's the problem. We don't know what these Dinobots are like. Yeah, they fucked off into the wilderness at the end of the film, but we don't know whether they're going to protect that park or whatever, or whether they're going to go on a rampage. We don't know enough about these Dinobots. That's what we need in the next film as well. That's what I think about that. The Dinobots. I'm trying to think of other stuff that's, either I like or I don't. There was one more thing that I had halfway through my dislikes that I forgot to mention, but I can't remember it again now. Jack Rayner playing Shane. Didn't care for him. Didn't dislike him, didn't like him. Like I said, I like Kelsey Grammer's character, that other guy. I like how Optimus Prime killed Kelsey Grammer's character. I like how he fucked off at the end of the film. Blatant Superman thing, that. But, I'm a Superman fan, I don't mind it. But I did expect that as it's flying off, that I'd have probably enjoyed that. No, I'm glad it wasn't in there. I like where this is going and what it sets up for. I don't like the stuff I like, there's stuff I don't like. I am going to go and watch it again on Monday with Steve, and I can discuss stuff with him. Honestly, can't remember that other thing I was going to say. It'll probably come to me after I've hit stop. All in all, I enjoyed the film. And like I said, I will watch it again. I do want to. I'm not just watching it because my mate wants to watch it. I'm watching it because I want to watch it. But there's, it has its problems, and it has its good qualities as well. I don't know where I'd rank it with the other ones, but honestly don't know, because there's a lot that's unexplained. Like I said, the other 3 films are pretty much self-contained within themselves. Sometimes you might have needed the previous ones to understand the second and third ones a bit better, but they were all pretty much wrapped up in and of themselves. This one has a lot of questions left unanswered. It almost came back to me. Something else I like. I don't know. I'll probably have a think and then tack it on the end of this because yeah, I'm going to stop it here just so I'm not. I mean, this has been. I'll edit nothing out, but I'm going to stop it here and then come back when I remember what it is I was thinking. It was actually a dislike, but well, not so much a dislike as a questionable thing. Optimus Prime's hiding in his encaged barn in the basement cellar part of it. How fucking deep is that cellar? I mean, Prime, even if he's smaller because he's taken the G1 mode, would still be about 20 feet tall. And he's hiding in the... Is the cellar 20 feet? Yeah, I mean, he's crouching, but the cellar is still way too big. And it's not only that. How the fuck did he get in there? You can clearly see people walking over the boards and shit. Yeah, you'd expect a hatch big enough for a human to get through. How did Prime get there underneath that wood? Did he lift the whole thing up, pull it from the ground and then hide without making a single sound? He was just fucking hiding under there in this fucking 10-15 foot deep cellar. In a barn. You don't get cellars that deep in houses. It baffled me, that did a bit. And how did he get in the theatre as well? I mean, from what I know, I don't know much about, you know, doors. Only the basics, but would a theatre have a door that a truck could fit through? Even a smaller truck? It's like the first film, when Ironhide touches down on Earth and comes out of that swimming pool. How deep was that fucking swimming pool? It just... No wonder I couldn't remember it, because it's so fucking weird. I mean, I doubt that even Prime in his truck mode in that basement would have been small enough. And yeah, he might have been crouching, but... You know, it's not as if he was like that, was it? No. He was like, oh yeah, fucking people above me, I've got to do something. It was just, you know, fucking didn't make sense to me. It did not make sense to me. I mean, the fight scenes, I like the fight scenes. I like the bit, I didn't notice this at first, but when Lockdown's using his anti-grav to suck up everything, and you got the Dinobots and like Slugs there, and he's like that with his little legs still running while he's being sucked up. That was quite funny. And Prime fell a hell of a distance, didn't he? And was fine. But I think that's pretty much all I've got for this. I enjoyed the film. I like where it's going. I wish it had, you know, considering the runtime, there was still a lot left unexplained. With a 2-hour, 37-minute film, they could have explained everything in that. But, you know, I still liked it. And I will watch it again, and I will pick up the Blu-ray. I don't know where I'd rank it. It'd probably be above Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon. But I don't know if it'd go above the first one. But yeah, that has been my review of Transformers Age of Extinction. I said I wouldn't watch any too long reviews. I've done one myself. Like I said, it's a contradiction. I have toys to review. Now I'll probably jump on and review the Grimlock and Evasion Optimus Prime, and then that would wrap up my Age of Extinction reviews for now. This has been Desirous Prime. You shall see me next time, and if you are going to AA, I shall see you next time.